What is up everyone, Piscean here. In this video I'm going to be making a part 2 to my first video where I was going over Skunk Anansie and the entire band's natal rectification with the help of Claude anthropic AI. Before we get started with this second part of the video, we're going to be going over the drummer's hypothetical rectified natal chart, which we can see here has a Sagittarius ascendant. And we're also going to get into the band synastry and composite analysis. Before we get started, please like, subscribe, comment, share if you dare, and care, with peace and love. Bringing you free astrology for free. I just repeated myself, but yeah, free astrology here with the help of AI agents to bring it to you faster and with more gravitas than, I won't even get into that, but let's talk about Mark Richardson, who is the drummer of Skunk Anansie. And he was born May 28th, 1970 in Leeds, which is also in the UK, where the rest of the band was born in the UK. This is where the band originated from, Skunk Anansie. Scan, I'll call it. Alright, rectified time, you see it's 9:20 AM BST with a moderate confidence, and Sagittarius 12 degrees rectified ascendant. And now we look at this rectified natal chart wheel with the Sag ascendant, and we can clearly see what on the screen. Well, first of all, if you saw my previous video, you'll know that this red line right here is showing us that ascendant, which is clearly Sagittarius, and that's the first house. And then what we see right here with the gold line is our mid-heaven, or our 10th house cusp. Some people will say that because it still is about your career. And what we see right down the middle is Libra being hit and Aries right there. So that Libra-Aries axis. So right off the bat, when we see the Sagittarius ascendant and then we see that Virgo midheaven, that right off the bat is going to tell me that this individual is going to see fame in their life automatically. The work is there, the work is being put in, and there's a lot of detail. And now I just want to go over the specific planets that we see for the individual. So for example, like Neptune in the first house sitting with the ascendant, which is Jupiter itself in Sagittarius, and we see the planet Neptune there. We also see Jupiter in the 12th house sitting in Scorpio, with the 11th house holding Uranus and Pluto. The 8th house is packed with Mars and Venus, right in between Gemini and Cancer. And we see the Sun right there, 7th cusp, Gemini. We got Saturn sitting right there close to the 6th house, which is Taurus. And we have Aries sitting in the 5th with Moon in the cusp of between the 4th and the 5th house in Pisces. 3rd house Aquarius, 2nd house Capricorn. So yes, these are what we see here, and we'll go into more detail. So for example, the Sun's in Gemini, and it's at 6 degrees 44 in the 6th house, and it's neutral. Moon's in Pisces, and it's at 13 degrees 14, sitting in his 4th house, and it's also neutral. Mercury's in Taurus, and it's at 14 degrees 39, sitting in that 6th house with the Sun in Gemini, and it's neutral. Then we see Venus is in Cancer at 7 degrees 05 in the 7th house, it's neutral, and also in the 7th house, joining Venus is Mars in Gemini at 26 degrees 49. So right off the bat, the 7th house is being lit up, as well as the 6th house. And now we see Jupiter's in Libra. I actually have this placement not in the 11th house, but in my 6th house. So Jupiter's in Libra in the 11th for this individual, and it's at 27 degrees 03, it's neutral. We see Saturn's in Taurus, also sitting in the 6th house with Sun and Mercury. So Sun, Mercury, and Saturn all in the 6th house of work. We see Uranus in Libra sitting in the 10th house, which is a very good placement for working with a group of people in the hopes to achieve success. Neptune in Scorpio, at 29 degrees 19 in the 12th house. It's neutral. Pluto in Virgo, that's a pretty big telltale sign there. That's going to be workaholic, 24 degrees 41, sitting in the 10th house with Uranus in Libra. So now we can see, or just a quick rundown of the interpretations. I won't go over every single thing here. Sun in Gemini in the 6th house, versatile servant. So what do we see? That Sun in Gemini in the 6th house is solar energy directed toward the craft of daily work. A drummer's role is fundamentally 6th house, which is precision, timing, physical routine, and service to the band's rhythmic foundation. The Gemini influence gives dexterity, adaptability, and the ability to sync with multiple musical personalities. The individual has Moon in Pisces in the 3rd house. It's the dreamer's moon. Mark's drumming likely carries a fluidity and emotional depth that transcends technical precision. We see Mars in Gemini in the 6th house as quick hands, okay? And also, it's conjunct the Sun with an orb of negative 20 degrees. Same sign, same house, 6th. So, we know that Mars in Gemini gives dexterity, speed, and versatility, the hands that move with mercurial quickness. For a drummer, this is placement of technical facility, complex polyrhythms, and the ability to communicate multiple rhythmic ideas simultaneously. Sun-Mars conjunction in Gemini is in the 6th house is a signature of someone whose daily work is their identity. Okay, the drummer who is the rhythm, who lives and breathes the craft. And then Saturn in Taurus sitting in the 5th house of creative discipline. So this is, Saturn in Taurus is the placement of someone who builds creatively from the ground up, layer by layer, with Saturnine patience. Well, the 5th house, of course, rules creativity and performance, and Saturn here demands that creative output be structured, serious, and built to last. Drummer's craft is fundamentally Saturnine, rhythm is structure, and Saturn in the 5th house gives the creative discipline to hold a rhythmic foundation for the entire band. Okay? Now we look at the band synastry here, and what we can do is actually learn something with the help of an AI agent, which a lot of people are scared of. But for example, I didn't know this. The following analysis here examines the astrological inter-aspects between band members, revealing the creative dynamics, emotional resonances, and structural tensions that shape Skunk Anansie's collective sound. Each pairing is analyzed for solar identity compatibility, as well as emotional moon resonance and drive, Mars dynamics. So these three things right here is what Claude Anthropic is using to compute this band synastry, as well as a composite analysis. So I thought that was pretty cool. So now we see, for example, like the lead singer Skin and the interactions between another bandmate Cass. We see one has Sun in Leo and the other has Sun in Virgo. Okay? And this is creative complementarity. So we see Skin's Leo Sun and Cass's Virgo Sun are adjacent signs. Okay? So the relationship is one of creative complementarity rather than direct aspect. The Leo-Virgo dynamic is the performer and the craftsman, and we see that Skin radiates outward Leo, while Cass perfects inward Virgo. Cass's moon in Capricorn in the 5th house actually trines Skin, Saturn, and Aries in the 5th house. Emotional discipline meets creative structure, creating a solid foundation for collaborative work. Cass's Mars in Gemini in the 10th house sextiles Skin's Sun in Leo. The bass player's versatile public drive supports the singer's creative identity. This is pretty cool here. And now we'll go down a few more, and this is just, before I even get to the end of the video, I'll just go over this disclaimer because I found this pretty funny. This report presents astrological analysis of public figures for educational and research purposes. Birth data is sourced from publicly available biographical information. Birth times are not publicly available for any of the subjects. Rectified times represent best fit estimates based on documented life events and solar arc direction methodology. Planetary positions are computed from JPL DE 421 ephemeris data for astronomical accuracy. Astrological interpretation is a symbolic framework and should not be considered factual statement about any individual's personality, life trajectory, or future. Thank you. Alright, on to Skin, Ace, Mars, Scorpio connection. So we see that both Skin and Ace have Mars in Scorpio, except Skin actually has it at 7 degrees 39 in its domicile, which is in the 1st, and Ace has it at 0 degrees 12 retrograde in the 7th house from Skin's chart. So clearly, this is a powerful Martian resonance, the shared warrior energy that drives the band's intensity. And we see that Ace's Sun in Aries at 9 degrees 05 is of course ruled by what? Mars. And Skin's Mars is in domicile in Scorpio. The guitarist's solar identity is powered by the singer's Martian force. Ace's Venus in Taurus in domicile in the 2nd house is opposing Skin's Venus in Virgo. in its fall in the 11th. So we see an opposition of aesthetic values, Taurus sensuality versus Virgo refinement, that creates productive creative tension. And this is such a thing, productive creative tension, where you're not constantly battling and arguing, but you're actually, even if you are, you take something from that instead of like actually ruining each other, picking each other apart. So skin mark, we see Moon Cancer, Moon Pisces, water trine. So skin's a moon in Cancer, and Mark's moon in Pisces form a trine by element, being of course both water. So in effortless emotional flow between singer and drummer, the singer feels, which is Cancer moon, and drummer responds, which is Pisces moon, in perfect emotional sync. It's the rhythmic emotional core of the band, the heartbeat. We see Mark's sun in Gemini in the 6th house, sextiles Skin's sun in Leo, a versatile craftsman supports the radiant performer. Mark's Mars in Gemini conjuncts his sun, and it's sextile Skin's Jupiter in Leo. The drummer's drive energizes the singer's expansive power. Let's look at Cass and Ace and the Jupiter resonance. So Cass is Jupiter in Sagittarius and is domicile in the 4th house, and Ace is Jupiter in Cancer, exalted. First, second are in opposition by sign, Cancer, Capricorn axes. And this creates a dynamic tension in foundational philosophy. We see Cass's expansive foundation, which is Jupiter in Sag in the 4th house, meets Ace's expansive identity, which is Jupiter and Cancer in the 1st house. So the bass and guitar foundation of the band carries this Jupiter in opposition, expansion through freedom, which is Sagittarius, versus expansion through emotional security, which is Cancer. Alright, and now let's look at the band composite. Summary here, like elemental balance. So you see the band's combined chart shows a strong water emphasis as Scorpio Mars X2, and that's going with Cancer Sun Moon, Pisces Moon, Scorpio Neptune, balanced by fire. We can see that there is, of course, a Leo Sun, there's an Aries Sun, there's a Sag Moon, and this fire-water combination is the alchemical formula or transformation. So passion is fire, and it's channeled through depth, which is water. The relative scarcity of Earth, only Virgo placements, and air, Gemini placements, suggests the band's power comes from emotional intensity and creative fire rather than structural precision or intellectual detachment. This is a band that plays from the gut and the heart. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one with peace and love. Piscean out.